I got friends that I grew up with that didn't have any discipline, any structure, and they did whatever they want. When I was a child, I thought, man, that's so cool. Like their parents were just like, they let them do whatever they want. Anybody can stay at their house. They stay out all wee hours of the night. And I look at their life now. Oh, it's chaotic.
It's chaotic.
It's chaotic. No discipline, no order, no structure, no
guidance.
Don't
respect anyone or anything.
Don't respect anybody. Don't respect themselves. Right? They're just doing whatever. And it's because they didn't get chastened and they didn't get disciplined by their parents. So now they become adults and they think they're entitled, right, to something or from someone, right? And they're living in this world and they think that the world owes them something.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zamots podcast, where we focus on faith,
family,
fitness,
finances,
and friendships.
Today we're going to be reading from the first Psalm, and it reads, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law doth he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper." Amen.
Amen.
All right, family, welcome back to the Zamots pod. We are going to be answering two questions from Who Are You? Okay, so we have the two categories are possibilities and potential, and then we have connections, right? So these are the two questions we shall read, and I'll let my bride take it away.
Hey, y'all. Okay, so what is the most valuable lesson you've learned from your parents, positive or negative?
The most valuable lesson I've learned from my parents, that having a spiritual foundation is paramount in someone's success.
Yeah.
I think spirituality is, I think that's super, super important. And somebody that doesn't have an awareness of their spiritual, let's just say their spirituality, somebody doesn't have an awareness of that, they'll have a really hard time in life. I mean, life is hard in and of itself, but when you have hope because you know where you came from and then eventually you'll return there, then you're able to navigate and you're not as stressed or worn down by the problems that come about in life because you do have hope, right? And you do have optimism and joy throughout the process. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I honestly was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, despite like the different ways that I was raised from my mom's side to my dad's side, I always had God. God was always at the center of everything. I knew to go to church, like knew about God, you know, from the religious aspect. And then, you know, me growing up, I learned it from the personal aspect, like a personal relationship with God instead of what had been taught to me. So I would say spirituality too, like just drilling in me since I was like a child that God comes first.
Yeah.
Regardless of the difference between my mom's side and my dad's side.
Yeah.
Like everybody always say that, like, on your mom's side, most of the time it's like the more conservative, and on your dad's side, they be lit.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the complete opposite. Like on my dad's side, it's more so the religious side, and on my mom's side, it's more so the turn side.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
So, yeah, I think that would be mine, and that's a positive thing.
I think, you know, again, the people that don't have that spiritual foundation, they have a really hard time in life. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, a really, really hard time. And you can kind of tell the people that come from a household, I guess a religious household or a household that has an awareness of God and awareness of their spirituality. You can tell those individuals, right, just how they conduct themselves in life, right, the attitude that they have towards life, the attitude that they have towards others. Like, it makes a huge difference. So without that, I think life is, man, I don't know. It's like, it's hopeless, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you just...
You have no guidance, no structures. You kind of just floating in autopilot on a day-to-day basis because if you don't know God, if you don't have a relationship with God, then you don't really know how to live life, because God should be leading you
Absolutely.
On your day-to-day basis and what you do. So yeah, that's depressing if you don't.
Yeah, truly it is. Okay, next question. It says, if you could go back in time to your younger self, what would you do that you never got a chance to?
Travel more.
Travel more. Okay.
I would
That's good.
travel more. Like there's two different versions, I feel like, of the young version of yourself. It's the party you, and it's the okay, let's get stuff done you, or experiencing things beyond partying.
Yeah.
So I went, into my partying era, going out all the time, to straight motherhood. So I didn't have that chance to really be like, okay, well, let me explore me and find out myself. I'm more so doing that now.
Yeah.
As far as investing in myself and, thinking about conferences and stuff like that, or just traveling with just me and you, or just me by myself. Like I can still do that, even though I am a mom, even though I am a wife. So I would say I would probably go back in time and invest more of my time into traveling rather than partying.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So if I can go back in time to my younger self, what would I do that I never got a chance to? I would play more sports. I would like play basketball in school.
Yeah.
Football for the school. Like I played recreationally, but I didn't play for the school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started working when I was in the 9th grade. Yeah, I think I was 15 when I started working. So
Matt Young.
Yeah, I started working early.
Hi.
We're being interrupted again by our second born, Naomi
Say
Elise.
hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, now say
bye.
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 Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Go close the door, please. So yes, that's it. I would play more sports in school, just see how that turns out. I think it would have been a great experience. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, let's get into the pot. All right, family, this week we want to talk to you guys about parenting styles, okay, and how your parenting style may or may not work with another parenting style. My wife brought this topic to, the pod, and she brought it to me. And I said, yeah, I think it's a great topic, right? I think it's super, super important. We all have different parenting styles, and some people discipline their children. Some people don't believe in discipline. We got people that are gentle parents. We got other people that are like, what do they call them? Helicopter parents, right? So there's different parenting styles, right? And when you have friends or family members that have children, and you guys have your children around each other, those different styles could clash, right? And it may not be ideal for you to have your children around other people's children if the parenting styles just don't align, right? So I think it gets a little bit more challenging, the more kids that you have, and the more of a style that you develop with your children,
right?
It gets a little more challenging to be around other people with their kids, because you discipline your kids and they may not discipline their kids, and they come to your house and try to tear everything up, and then they don't say anything to their kids, and you like, wait a minute, like we don't do that around here. So anyway, I'll let my wife kind of dive a little deep into that. And she she's the author of this topic here.
Am I?
Yeah, you are. You are.
Okay, so pretty much I just Googled the different type of parenting styles, and there's the authoritative parenting, permissive parenting, authoritarian parenting, and uninvolved parenting. And then there's so many more. It's like 10 different ones. Like we only talk about like helicopter, gentle, discipline. Like we only talk about those, but it's a whole lot of them. Uninvolved, trigger parent, neglectful. Like it's so many different parenting styles that are broken down into different sections. And I feel like with each kid, you have to have a different parenting style, because each child is different. Like, for instance, with Naomi, there is no gentle parenting with her.
That's our second born, the one that keeps coming in.
The one is 2. She don't care. She don't care what you say. She don't care what you do. She gonna do what she want to do.
Yeah.
But when she gets sat down, she has to be sat down. She can't, leave from, timeout or something like that. That works best with her, because she's not a part of whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
For her, isolation kind of in a way is what makes her be like, okay, let me listen to what my man daddy says.
Yes.
As of Noelle, she doesn't have to get popped or anything like that, because you just have to say something to her in a very stern voice, and she's going to tell on herself and calm down.
Yeah.
Nazir, we still don't know. He's boss baby. He run the house, so.
He's 2 months, right? But he got an attitude. If he don't got a boob in his mouth,
yeah,
then
for
sure,
he
gonna let you know about it.
He only crying if he's dirty or if he hungry.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's smiling, winking in everybody's face.
What do you think? What do you think is, I guess, the most effective long-term parenting style, just based on like, you know, the different styles that they have there? What do you think is the most effective?
Honestly, I feel like the helicopter parent.
You think that's most effective?
Wait, what is the helicopter parent?
That's like the ones that
super
I don't super hovering over their kids. They don't want their kids can't go outside. They can't do anything by themselves.
Yeah, so no, and it literally says hovering, which is hence helicopter.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. That's hard. If I have to like pick one of the names, I don't know just yet. Challenging. Yeah, but I would honestly say more so on the end of making sure that your children know to respect you and know that there are boundaries on top of also listening to them and what they're saying and what they are voicing, because certain things, pretty much everything that they do, they're only doing it for your attention, or they either doing it because they're trying to learn and process why you're doing this or why you say don't do that. Like when you tell a child don't touch that stove, the first thing that they want to do is touch the stove.
Me too.
Not because they're being disobedient, but because it's really that attitude like, well, why would you tell me not to do that?
Exactly.
Well, I need to see why you're telling me not to do that. So then as the type of parent that I am, I'm taking your hand and I'm glazing your hand over the top of the stove. So you see that's hot. That's hot. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, finding some type of educational video to show you, okay, this is why you need to keep your seatbelt on in the car because this could happen.
Right.
And like, that's why you have to follow certain rules. You know, I feel like the free range parents, oh, we're just taking it day by day. The kids are the boss. Like the parents that are like that, I personally feel like I can't connect with. Like I can't, because it's just like, no, you can't just let your kids run rapid and think that it's not going to affect them when they're no longer kids. You're raising kids into young adults to old adults. Like they're not forever going to be a child. So I feel like a balance of all of those parenting styles based off of your child and the age, I feel like is necessary.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's one parenting style that you're like, no, I can't do, like I'm not doing it?
Or that you don't I think you hit it right on the head, man. I think all of the different parenting styles are important in different ways. Like I would say, if I had to choose, I would say helicopter parent. But that could be, you know, that can be beneficial, right? But to protect your child from certain things can be beneficial.
But I feel like that's the biggest thing that I don't like. Okay, for instance, I made a video on my TikTok and I was talking about how I realized that I can't do play dates with any and everybody. Like I truly can't do play dates with every type of mom because their parenting style stresses me out. It makes me like feel for them because when you in public and you see a mom and her head just like go down, like that's not something I want to be around, because you're basically being bullied by your child because at home you haven't disciplined them or you haven't set them down or you haven't did anything to where they go outside in public, they know not to do that. So we're playing and you're either hovering over your child, like they can't, like people be like, I know, especially when Noah was younger, like when we would go to the park, we would see her running and we're like, no, go do it because you have to fall and you have to learn on how to do it. Of course, we're there to like, okay, like we're here just in case, but we want to let her know like, no, we're not here. You can do it. You see a lot of kids that don't want to play on the playground. Why? Because that parent has hovered over them so much and has protected them so much that they can't really function outside of the safety of their parent. You know? So do you feel like kids that are very clingy to their parents mainly because that parent is helicopter parent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it can be. I think that can be the case. It can also be the case that that child may be like more shy and timid
Yeah.
because of maybe the environment that's been set up for them. Like
Mm-hmm.
as a parent, you have to set up the environment for the child to express themselves in their like ways of expression, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you have a child that's more reserved into themselves, and you would like for them to get out of that, right? Because there's bad habits that like we come with, right? You say we got this flesh that we're in, and it has bad habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's bad habits that we have, like being reserved and shy, like that's a bad habit, honestly speaking. If you're going to go out into the world and you want to design a life for yourself, being reserved and shy is not going to be very beneficial for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to break your child out of that, it would be best for you to take them around other kids and get them more comfortable with being around other children, right? And
Yeah.
being more expressive. So I think it could be partially that the child is that way,
Mm-hmm.
but I think ultimately it's up to the parent to get them into the habit of breaking them out of that habit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like get them more involved in interactive things so they don't
Yeah.
have to be so reserved and shy,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, like just going back to what you were saying, I think all of those parenting styles can be beneficial in different ways. Right? I don't think there's any parenting style that just isn't good,
Yeah.
right? Like it has its benefits, but ultimately, I think the top, like the most beneficial parenting styles, in my opinion, would be the disciplined and the authoritative,
Mm-hmm.
right? The disciplined and authoritative, because as a parent, you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the one that sets the tone. You got to make sure that you instill discipline in your children,
Mm-hmm.
because the only people that have freedom are the people that have discipline.
Yeah.
Right? When you don't have any discipline and you just do whatever, whenever, however you want to do it, you don't have any freedom whatsoever. That's chaos, right? But when you have discipline, you have structure, you have order, then you're able to have freedom within boundaries, right? So the scripture said there is no freedom without boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no such thing. There's no such thing as freedom without boundaries, right? The reason that we have the freedom to drive on the road is because there's those lines on the road that tell you not to cross this way, right? Or not to get, there's a median there that says don't drive on that side. That's the reason there's boundaries, right? That's the reason we have the freedom to drive on the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you think about a road that has no lines, no lights, no medians whatsoever. You just drive. That is chaotic, and there's no freedom there. Why? Because everybody could just do whatever they want, right? Yeah. There's no structure. There's no order. So having discipline, order, and structure for your children, and then also being an authoritative parent, right? Letting your children know that you are the one that sets the tone, that you are the leader in the household, and they have to report to you. Mm-hmm. Obviously, until they get to a certain age to where they make decisions on their own, then they're now young adults, right? Or adults. You don't necessarily, like, you got to switch your parenting style at that point, right? Oh. You don't want to be an authoritative parent when your child is 24 years old, right? You trying to tell them what to do. Like, that's not, they need guidance. Yeah, they need guidance at that point. They don't need somebody to tell them what to do, right? They need some kind of support and some kind of advice, right? So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that though. I feel like with our generation, everybody's so focused on being gentle parent, because really the parenting styles, there's really haven't been any other parenting style besides authoritative and discipline. Mm-hmm. And we see that that's not always the best method when it comes to nurturing your children and raising your children. Absolutely. Because let's be honest, if someone smacks you and says, mm-hmm, make sure you pick those cans up, mm-hmm, and smack you, I'm not picking those cans up, and right, I'm hitting you. Mm-hmm. Like I'm hitting you. So I feel like most of the time people feel like, oh, well, that's something that, as an adult, you wouldn't just all out slap an adult because they don't do what you say. Okay, well, you guys are putting different scenarios together. The whole point of disciplining your child is for them to know not to do certain things. Absolutely. Like if your child keeps sticking their finger in the socket and you done told them 1,000 times, mm-hmm, don't put your finger in the socket, you got the protectives, the little lock things that, mm-hmm, go in there. Some kids are genius. They can take it out. Like, mm-hmm, they take it out. They steady sticking their finger. They're going, and you know that if they keep doing it, that they're going to electrocute themselves. They're going to hurt themselves. Mm-hmm. So what do? Pain, mm-hmm, relays a message. Mm-hmm. It's not us beating our child when we say discipline. It's literally a firm pop to let you know don't do that.
Right.
Like, you do not do that. That will hurt you. I'm not saying beat your child because, you get what I'm saying, you angry and you mad and you just going in on them because you fed up. That's not what I'm saying when I say discipline. There's other ways to discipline your child.
Yeah.
It's not just the fact of popping them or putting, your hands on them. And I know some parents that are very uncomfortable with the topic of disciplining your child. But then me, as someone who, I don't believe into hit and pop a child all day. I don't even remember last time they got hit. Like, I really don't. And they be doing the absolute most. Why? Because we're still trying to break that barrier that's associated with every single thing that a child does that they need to be whooped for.
Right.
I do not stand for that. But when it is certain things that is going to harm my child, and they're not getting me talking to them, they're not getting me showing them a video, they're not getting me showing them an illustration of that. Okay, whenever you stick your hand on a hot stove, you do that one time. That pain that was associated with that experience, you're not going to do that anymore.
Sure,
and not saying that you hit them so hard to where you send them to the hospital. No, but a firm pop, they're going to remember.
Right. Or just let them touch it. And they ain't going to touch it no more.
They're not going to touch it no more.
I see why mommy and daddy said not to touch that.
Right.
I want to say this, babe, because I think this is very important, because this is something that all of us have experienced, and that's trauma. Right. And again, not all trauma is traumatic. Okay. Trauma can be just, your girlfriend, the little girl at the park telling you that you smelled funny, right, when you was 9 years old, and you remember that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right. And now you always wearing cologne, and people are like, why you always got on these different colognes? Well, it's because when you was 9, somebody told you smell funny. You don't want to experience that again.
Exactly.
Right. So not all trauma is traumatic, but I think being a trauma response parent is probably the least effective parenting style.
Oh, for sure.
Like, when you are living from a place of the past, and when you have things that have affected you in the past in a negative way, and you put that experience on your child, I don't think that's very beneficial, right? There probably could be some benefit in some ways, but I think that's probably that's probably the least effective parenting style, in my opinion, because it's just like, your trauma is your trauma. You know what I mean? That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what your child is going to experience, and you don't want them to have that experience. So, that's why it's important, I think, to work on yourself before you even have children, so that your trauma doesn't come out as much.
You don't bleed out.
Yeah, you don't bleed out all over your child. You know what I mean? I don't think that's very beneficial. And then when your children get older, they like resent you in a way, because they see that the things that happened to you in your past, you use those experiences to raise them, and you limited them in a way and stifled their growth because you have that trauma, right? And you put that trauma on them, right? And to use the example again, you bled all on them, right? And they're not even the ones that cut you, right? I think that's unfair to your children. Go ahead. Well,
I was going to say, because a lot of the things that, like, you're responding to in a trauma way, you're taking things that they do personal, and it's really just them, that generational thing coming out of your family. It's a lot of things that our children do, and I'm like, I can't address, or I can't approach this situation a certain way because it's a trigger for me. And it's not that my children are doing what's been done to me, or it's not that my children are intentionally doing that to purposely, make me upset. They're doing it because it's certain things that I'm still working in, that I'm growing through, that a lot of people say, like, when you have kids, you grow. It pushes you to grow.
Absolutely.
And it does, because you recognize certain things in them. It's also in you, and you have to work on that in order to respond to them correctly.
Absolutely.
So when I feel that type of way, it's certain things that they do be pushing a little bit, where I'm like, okay, you need to get popped. I'm not popping you because I know that I'm doing it out of a place that I haven't fully healed in yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Noelle says no, or no, I can't do that because da-da-da, and she tries to explain it, I'm now at the point to where I can allow her to explain herself and not have the generational thought in my head to where it's like, you said no, that's disrespectful, you disrespected me, da-da-da-da-da. Heard that a whole lot growing up, and it wasn't that I'm being disrespectful. It's not that our children are being disrespectful. It's that they are at the age to where they're learning everything in life. They're fresh. They're new to this planet. Like, everything that we've learned and that we didn't establish has happened over a course of 27 and 28 years. Like, and they're 2, 4, and 2 months. So obviously they're going to have questions about everything. And it's not to be disrespectful, but it's also, as a parent, we have to establish the boundary of, okay, I understand that you're curious to ask a question about this, but when mommy tells you you need to pick your toys up and you know it's because your toys are not supposed to be all over the floor, I don't need a why to that.
For sure.
But if I tell you, put the knife down, don't pick the knife up again because that could hurt you. Well, how could that hurt me?
Right.
Why? That's when you go in and you educate them. It's a teaching moment.
Yeah.
That's not them being disrespectful.
Yeah.
But, you can't just let your child run rapid and choose what to do. If they don't want to go to bed, they got to have a snack. They got to have an iPad. They got to have this. They got to have that.
Not.
They're literally running the household. They're running you. That respect that you're supposed to be establishing now, that authority for adult figures, it starts at this age. And if your child is not doing those things, I'm not saying, they're going to be the worst child in the world, but they don't respect you. They're not respecting the authority that you're supposed to be putting down now. Then they're not going to expect that, respect that authority when they get older, because they're doing whatever they want to do at a young age.
That's good.
And it's not a control thing. It's that when they do reach the age of 18 and they're out of your house, or they're actually now, in America, they're responsible to adult, pay their own bills, get a job, like be an entrepreneur, whatever it is that they want to do, they're now responsible for themselves. You don't want your child to come, from under being parented by you and have a problem with authority or listening to anything that anyone says because mommy and daddy didn't have no type of authority, no type of rule, didn't stand on business. I got to stay up all night. I didn't, have no structure. I didn't have no this because they just gave up and they don't want to, pop me and tell me that's not okay because you just talking to your child all day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Me personally, I don't agree with that parenting style. I'm not saying that, you have to hit on your child every day, but it's certain things that your child needs to understand a respect and boundary thing. I cannot stand a disrespectful child.
That's the worst thing in the world, especially to see it from afar. Like as a parent, a child that's disrespectful, you want to yank them up.
Yeah.
I want to say this. I think it is extremely important to treat your child as a human being.
Yeah.
Right? Like really treat your child as a human being. If there are things that that you wouldn't do or say to an adult, like don't do that to your child. Don't demand that your child does something, not say thank you, not say please. They sneeze, say bless you. Like treat them like an adult, treat them like a real person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because just because they're a child, that doesn't mean they don't require respect.
It doesn't mean that they don't understand.
That too.
Children are smart, which is most of the time why our kids get in trouble.
Yeah.
It's because they know that they're not supposed to be doing something that they're doing. Children are dumb. They just little babies. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely. They know. And you treat your child like how you want to be treated. Right? But in addition to that, you also have to give your child guidance and structure, right? This is challenging, okay? This is stuff that we're still learning and we're still growing in as well. So we're not talking at anyone. We're speaking.
Talking to ourselves first.
Yeah, we're talking to ourselves first, and then we letting y'all listen, okay? You know what I mean? So this is a challenge, and it's a work in progress. But I think it's important that we understand and we do have the dialogue that, listen, we got to treat our children as human beings, right? We got to treat them with respect because we want them to have respect for people when they go out into the world, into the marketplace. And we also need to discipline our children and give them structure and guidance so they know how to conduct themselves when they do become an adult. The friends that I have, and now they're having a hard time in life, right? The Bible, there's a scripture in the Bible. I don't know where it is right now. I don't want to look it up, but I believe it's in Proverbs that says if you don't discipline your child, right, when they grow up, they're going to resent you, right? Something along those lines. It's something along those lines, okay? Don't quote me verbatim, but there is a scripture that says your children, when they get older, if you don't discipline them, they're going to resent you, right? Because you didn't do what you were supposed to do as the authority in the household. You didn't give them structure and order.
Just like you didn't, parents that don't discipline their child when they're smaller, and then when they get older and they buck at them a certain way, now you want to beat they back in. But when they reach that age, like teenage, young adult, and you try to put your hands on them, they're already established in your ways. So you punching them or you hitting them, it's not going to do absolutely nothing because they didn't have that respect for you at an early age. So really from age about, I'll say about 7 until about 18, you're literally guiding them at this point because they've already established their own personality. You're just guiding them and teaching them. Yeah.
That's right. So that being said, y'all, listen, we're going to wrap up. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Again, the stuff that we're saying, this is stuff that we all are working on, right? And we're talking to ourselves
everyday
first.
Process.
It's a process, right? And we're learning and growing as parents, right? We don't know it all. We know very little about parenting. Our children are still under 5, right? All of them. You know what I mean? But what we do know so far, we've been implementing little by little. And, you know, when we go out in the marketplace, we see how people respond to us and our parenting, and we see how our children respond to other people and how they conduct themselves compared to other children, right? Not that we make the comparison, but we just see the difference. It's like it's a natural comparison that you make. You see the difference of other people's children and your children.
It's not only
how
that
they conduct themselves.
It's not only that we make ourselves. We're always being praised for our children and how they act outside of the home, and how they're able to have conversations and literally ooze love out to everyone. Now, as parents, a prime example is just honing in on our children's personality is that, okay, baby, we are in the real world and you can't just walk up and hug and touch and say I love people, because some people in the world are not going to react right to that. So trying to literally work through and explain to our children that you can't give your love to everybody, it's difficult to me because a lot of that is their personality. Like Naomi, at first she was standoffish and shy, but the way the household that we run and how much love we give out in our household, and her seeing her big sister, she now speaks to everyone, smiles to everyone. At first it was just dogs. She wasn't speaking to no humans. She would only speak to dogs. But now I see her personality, hey, you know, shaking people's hands, like, and I love seeing that. But you know, it's a big learning curve for us, everything that we do. But I think the greatest thing about our parenting style and the way that we parent is that we're not closed off or opposed to different styles.
No,
because I was strictly brought up on physical discipline. When we're saying discipline, we're not just talking about physical discipline. You know what I'm saying? There's multiple ways of disciplining your children. But I was just brought up on physical discipline. So when I got older, I'm like, I don't want to be hitting on my child all day. Like, I don't want to beat my child all day because, you know, they're asking this or asking that. So I love the fact that we're open and that we explore every bit of parenting style to best fit our life, to best fit our children. So
absolutely. That being said, listen, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, share this with somebody that you know is a parent and, you know, maybe wants to, you know, be a better parent. Share it with them, right? They may be able to learn something, or maybe they can reach out to us, teach us something. All right, you never know. All right, so like, comment, subscribe, share.
Turn on your post notifications so you can notify every single time that we post.
That part right there.
And I know y'all see today that we have on matching shirts. The King and Queen set is from a business. It's called Designs by Dani. And we'll put her information down below. She does a lot of custom shirts, Christian-based shirts and stuff like that. You can get your own logos, whatever you want. Her information will be down below. The material is great. The color is great. The fit is great. And on the back, it says Queen on my shirt and says King on his shirt.
We'll input a picture.
Yeah, we'll insert a picture for you guys. So yeah, support this business. And thank you for allowing us to promote your brand. And yeah.
We appreciate you, Dani.
We appreciate you, Designs by Dani.
And let love for your hearts, family. Peace.
Peace and blessings. Bye.